Hello, world. Warmest welcome to the 38th episode of Inspiring Millions Show.
Dear, we have not gone live yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did. I just saw it. Okay.
We shall be going like less than 10 seconds. Just
Okay. Hello, world. Warmest welcome to the 38th episode of Inspiring Millions Show. This is the show where we celebrate brilliant minds from around the world who share with us their story, one story at a time. Ready to unleash the power of your handwriting? Today, our featured guest is Maestro Professor K.C. Janardhan, the Calligraphy Maestro. Let's get inspired by his story in a short while. Thank you for joining us live or on replay. I'm Vivandrada O'Flynn, your host and Global Media Relations of World Humanitarian Drive. World Humanitarian Drive, also known as WHD, is an international NGO founded in Croydon, UK, by British Indian global peace activist, entrepreneur, writer, Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed. The primary vision of WHD is to promote peace, education, and trade harmony initiatives globally among everyone across the world, regardless of race, gender, religion, or nationality, living as one family. WHD is striving for humanity. This Inspiring Millions Show is your show. As always, we encourage you to engage and interact with us. Please help us spread inspiration to the world by sharing this link. Put your questions that you would like to ask our guest, Professor K.C. Janardhan. Greetings or comments that you have for us in the comments box. We would love to read them later on in the show. Let us also know where you are watching this. Wherever you are in the world, let us keep you company and brighten your day as we share peace, love, and goodwill. Here on Inspiring Millions Show, we enjoy celebrating awareness days, especially when they tie up nicely with our special guests. Last Wednesday, 20th of October, was Day on Writing. On Monday, the 25th of October, is International Artist Day. Our honorable guest is a multi-talented and multi-skilled individual who brings these two awareness days together. Maestro Professor K.C. Janardhan is an artist, author, calligraphy maestro, connoisseur of handwriting, aviator, educational reformer, entrepreneur, professor of management, professor of penmanship, sculptor, sociologist, social reformer, and the list goes on and on. He has been widely featured in local, national, and international media regularly and awarded many times by various institutions. Let us all welcome to inspire the world today's India's most celebrated calligrapher and a living legend, Professor K.C. Janardhan. Welcome. Dhanyavad. Thank you so much for being with us here today. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for that kind introduction. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the listeners across the globe, wherever you are.
Thank you. Before we get started, we would like to thank WHD, Malaysia Secretary General, Professor Dato G.P. Doraisamy, and WHD India Secretary General, Padma Bhushan Brigadier Dr. Anil Kohli for making this discussion possible. So Maestro K.C. Janardhan, so let's get started. Could you please introduce yourself to the world and share a brief story about you?
Thank you so much. I was born in Bangalore. My father was a doctor and his family, almost everybody were from the field of medicine. And my maternal side, they were all businessmen. And I was raised in Mailaduturai, a small town in Tamil Nadu where my father was working those days. So I spent my childhood in both these places, Bangalore and in Mailaduturai. And I had some funny feelings when I used to be young, when I was given a head bath, and nobody understood why I was trying to avoid it. And they all thought it was childish tantrums. Later in Bangalore in the late 60s, when we met Dr. K.C, who was known as the father of epilepsy, he diagnosed this issue as hot water epilepsy. And after treatment, I was completely cured. But you know, the stigma that existed was something which was very, very difficult for us to deal with in the beginning. And once I was able to get over my childhood days, it was a very interesting journey that I've had, which I would be sharing with you. This epilepsy was the biggest barrier in life, which taught me how to fight. You had to fend for yourself. Though there were elders and others to take care of you, you learn very early in life how to fend for yourself and how to fight for survival.
So, Maestro Janardhan, you've mentioned about the social stigma attached to epilepsy, which we're born with and cured. So, how did it impact your life?
Well, in the late 60s, when I used to go to what is called as NIMHANS, the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, it was known as the mental hospital. So, you know, people who went there were called as madcaps. So I was declared as a madcap. You know what the society does to people who are born with some kind of a mental or physical challenges is to put them down, is to discriminate them, reject them, and then a lot of people get into depression because of that. In some cases, they also ostracize them from the society. A lot of things inhuman has been, done to people with challenges, whether it is mental or physical, as I mentioned. So, that was something where I said, I will somehow try to see that how I fend for myself. So at a very young age, I learned that the world appreciates beautiful people, successful people, people who have got some talents. And then I discovered I have some talents within me. I'm a good mimicry artist, a mono actor, and I used to love painting, sculpting. And by then I had started making certain small models. So I brought out my abilities and showcased it to the world. Then the world, or the society as we call, started looking at the talents and they forgot about the stigma. And so I could divert their attention, and suddenly the underdog becomes a superdog. So this is how I learned that, if you can bring out your natural abilities, polish them, showcase them, and perform, then people start forgetting about the stigmas attached to whatever you were born with.
I really like that the underdog becomes the super dog. That's very inspiring. So let us know, what were your challenges in academic qualifications and later in life that made you choose an unusual approach to academics?
Well, when you have certain challenges, you're not regular to school. And when I went to school, unfortunately, I was not really interested in what was being taught in school, because that didn't really gel well with my interests. As I said, my interests were in painting, sculpting, drawing, and I love to speak in public. All that was not being taught in school. We had to just go through academics, so I was not so interested. And then reading books also, I'll tell you, there's something interesting, which maybe others can also relate to it. My paternal side, they were all voracious readers and they were all well-read doctors. Maternal side, they were not so well-read, and it was blasphemous to read anything other than a textbook. So I used to feel scared to touch a National Geographic or a Span or a Time or any of these kind of magazines. It was a taboo to even touch them, because no reading magazines, things like that. So the confusion was there for a long time. Maybe there are also so many others in the world where they're confused about what to read and what not to read. And late in life, after I finished my degree and I tried to do my post-graduations, the interest in behavioral science, marketing and all that came up. And then I enrolled for 2 programs and completed it. And something interesting happened where I asked myself, what are these degrees? Somebody sets a syllabus, you study them, Write an exam and get a paper as qualification. Some people mug up, vomit, get marks and get out. But how useful is it to each human being? I felt that unless you have understood the subject, to absorb it and apply it, it is not so useful. These courses didn't answer my questions again. So I went after what is called as autodidactism. I started practicing it by collecting a lot of books in the areas of my interest. So started buying books on anthropology, sociology, psychology, self-development, and then into art, into trying to get books on handwriting, calligraphy, and then started reading a lot to understand and trying to meet people who have achieved in each one of these fields, and then get clarity and pursue these kind of activities as an occupation, which then becomes a vocation and a profession. So the challenges were, again, I got a third class in my college degree, and people said, you can't do a damn with a third class, you're a third class. So that's when I turned around and said, you check me in my weak areas, I'm a third class, but actually my inborn strengths, I'm world class. So people laughed at me again. Oh, you're world class? Oh, come on, man. I said, wait and watch. I'll prove myself. I hope I have proved myself today with whatever innate abilities I had. So I'm not trying to say that schooling and college is bad. Please don't read me wrong. I wanted to also give you a disclaimer that I'm speaking from my experiences and my perceptions in this journey. And I appeal to all listeners and viewers to be neutral and not to read me otherwise. And my experience traveling across the globe are to try and understand more human beings across the globe. So my efforts are towards enhancing greater human understanding across cultures as perceptions differ and belief systems differ from community to community and geographical location to geographical location. So I would appreciate a common ground and neutral approach to understanding with empathy, which will promote greater human understanding and humanity. So my challenges then took me across to even teach. I said, I want to get into teaching. So I didn't have a post-graduation in management, like an MBA, but I had other postgraduate diplomas. So I entered the realm of teaching, went into the university, and for almost 25 years, I taught MBAs about 9 different management subjects. And when people used to ask me, do you have a paper qualification? I had a very interesting slogan that came to my mind. I have become a man-eater in the subject. Would you want me to give you a certificate that I am a tiger? That was my different approach. But I'm not telling people that you shouldn't go to school or college or do that. But then after school and college, please pursue your interests. Learn a lot more. Don't stop learning. Get to know a lot more in what your interests are and those subjects are. Read those books and then enhance your knowledge so that you become indispensable.
Those are important lessons about learning as well. So what made you choose an uncharted field of handwriting and professional calligraphy to build a career in the digital age?
Wonderful. At 27 years of age, like Van Gogh did become a painter. You know, as I told you, I came from a family which were into business on one side and medicine on one side. The business side of the family wanted me to get into businesses. The medicine side of the family wanted me to become a doctor. And I didn't get a seat in the medical school. And I did start businesses at a very young age. But somehow, the ethical side of this medical field was interfering in businesses. And I felt really uncomfortable, like a fish out of water. And then I decided to let go of businesses and do something which gives me the satisfaction at the end of the day. Then when I sat down and thought, what is it that I can do to make a decent living? So the self-introspection happened. And then the inner voice started speaking and saying, you are so talented with so many things. Why don't you use those talents and make a living? So that's when I recalled some of the voices that I've heard in the past in my school days. My classmates' parents, the other parents of other children, complaining about bad handwriting. They were telling that, you know, my son is brilliant, but he gets low marks. My daughter is average. She fails in exams. Can't somebody do something about it? So I thought that is an area which was still left unexplored. That is when I decided to get into trying to do a research. I went to college and university and said, can I do a research in handwriting? They said, research in handwriting? There's nothing like that. Then I said, okay, I will do a research on my own. And that took me from place to place. One led to the other, trying to understand the A to Z. It took me from America to New Zealand to find out why people write badly, what makes them write badly. And it led me into a lot more, like finding out handwriting leads to a higher level called as lettering with the input of typography, and then to the highest level with the spiritual dimension called calligraphy. And then there are so many other areas. And then I said, this is so interesting. Let me take a dive into it and help more human beings to communicate better in their written form. Many of them are excellent in their, what you call content of writing. And then their speaking is good. But when it comes to packaging it, their handwriting has been letting them down. So I said, this is one area that I need to try and do some justice. And that's how I got into it.
Maestro, you have traversed the road less traveled and achieved against the medico-socioeconomic odds through the arduous journey. So you must have come across many barriers and failures. Could you please tell us how you dealt with them?
Certainly. When I said I'm going to be a handwriting trainer, people laughed at me. What are you trying to do in this digital age when people are letting go of handwriting? I said, no, handwriting is forever. I said this 30 years ago. As long as human beings are going to be alive in this planet, we are going to speak, we are going to walk, even if we have the latest jets. We are going to write, even if we have the latest computers. Like today, you see the mobile phones have a stylus. The Apple 9 has a pencil to write on. I said that 30 years ago that it cannot be relegated to dustbins of history. And thanks to all these latest developments, that handwriting will last forever. And I started working on it. And the arduous journey is that when I started it, I never had books. I went to a lot of bookshops. I couldn't find them. Then went on searching in various books, and underneath a pile and I find something which the bookseller would say, wow, that was lying there for many years. Nobody bought it. I'll give you a discount on it. Take it. Then when I tried to go and tell the schools I can teach handwriting, they said, do you have a B.Ed degree to teach? Or do you have an art degree to teach? Well, a lot of barriers. And then when I found lettering and calligraphy, I went to corporates to try and promote it. I would be stopped at the entrance. Then society taught me that, don't just go in an ordinary clothing. You wear this extra 2.5 meters jacket and then wear a tie or a bow and then walk in there. You get your entrance, then you meet the right kind of people, talk to them, convince them, and get it across. But then the society looked down at you again. What are you going to do with handwriting, lettering, and calligraphy? How can you make a decent living? And my first client paid me a pittance, not enough even for my travel to that place and back. So the journey started with difficulty. Even today, no nationalized bank in my country would even finance it because they still consider this as a hobby. So against this odds, and it was a world of the world without web days. Today in the World Wide Web, at the press of a button, you get almost everything across. So literally you had to go by foot, go from place to place physically. I tried to copy down the different styles of fonts from various printers who had a sample book and then practice them and then prove myself. And then once you have proved yourself, people give you the right kind of attention and you can go on. But then until then, you need to endure. You need to reassure yourself. You need to tell yourself, I have it in me, I can do it, and never ever give up what you have taken up. So this is how it went on. A lot of difficulties, and I looked at a lot of failures. Every time I go and try to present something, somebody says, oh, that's not required. Oh, you cannot do it. Oh, that's not possible. So a lot of such negatives started coming in. And I started looking at every barrier as, okay, it's a mountainous barrier, all right. How do I deal with this mountain? I should become a stone crusher. I will chew this mountain and grind it to dust, I told myself. So the mountain gets scared of me and then it makes way. So for all those people who face various kinds of difficulties in an uncharted field and many questions being asked, the only answer is believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, and just keep performing. There is no other substitute to performance which leads to excellence.
You were the only Indian to be allowed to write your own passport in 1993, your daughter's birth certificate in 1998, and father's death certificate in 2001. So you are the only Indian to teach power handwriting to British in 2001. And you're also the co-author of the first ever book on handwriting in Asia Pacific region in 1992. And you have also calligraphed over 80,000 plus certificates, citations for your clients all over the world. So what is the power behind handwriting?
Wonderful question. Everybody said good handwriting is important. All right, so what's good? Try to define good. And I got the definition of good. And what did the good handwriting do? Got you some appreciation. But then my experiences in the early 90s when I went to book a ticket in the railways, in the trains in India, or went to book an airline ticket, that's when I found people saying, oh, what a lovely handwriting when I filled the form. And then I got what was a special quota. Like in India, you have a member of parliament quota in the airline industry. And then in the trains, they gave me again a quota for the, it's called as the emergency quota. Those things were released. Then I said, this has got the power to do it. And finally, when I applied for my passport, I wrote my application letter and the passport officer asked me, hey, your handwriting is so good and you asked for special permission to write your own passport. I said, yes. And then they gave me the permission to write. Then my visas to UK and US, whenever I presented myself at the visa office, now this experience in USIS was, I was standing in a queue of 10 people and the person standing behind the counter was trying to find some reason or the other not to give you a visa. And, you know, as I went closer and closer, I felt I am the next lamb at the altar. Will I be slaughtered or will I be let go? Right? You have that fear, right? Out of 10 of them, 8 of them were denied. Then I went and gave him the application. He saw this application and asked me, how did you manage to do this? Well, my heart sank for a moment. What? I didn't know what to ask. I said, what? He said, how did you manage to print it so beautifully? I said, oh, thank you. That's not printed, it's handwritten. Then he said, hey guys, have you seen an application like this? I have not seen one in my life. And then everybody came across to this counter and he said, oh, what's the purpose of your visit to US? I said, I believe people in your country have not been writing so good and I've been invited to go and help them write better. And he said, welcome to US. And then no questions asked, multiple entries stamped and given. And people behind me were surprised. Now, these are certain things, beautiful experiences, which made me coin this word called as power handwriting. There are many more unknown people in unknown countries have actually hosted me. And I have been offered extraordinary permanent visas under exceptional skills. So many things have happened, and this handwriting is something which paved my way. I mean, even if I'm stuck in some kind of a difficult situation, it opened doors. And as the saying goes, you know, a thing of beauty is joy forever. And the moment somebody sees something beautiful, I think something happens in their mind, and then there's a nice feeling which melts their heart and says, all right, why not I go ahead and do something for this person? So beyond good, it is the power that your handwriting has got. It's got the power to do a lot of things. And that's how it helped me get my passport, which is again, recognition and freedom to travel the world, an emotional document. My daughter's birth certificate, the certificate, as you mentioned, birth of a child is again a very emotional moment. Then losing a dear one, again, a different kind of emotion. All three of them I have captured, as you said, And it's my good fortune that I was able to do that. So handwriting has the power to do many things which people told me you cannot do. So I'll quote my senior colleague and Professor Vijay Rao, to whom also I would dedicate this whole interview. He said, if you can visualize the invisible, you can accomplish the impossible. So I've been trying to always do that thing that is told as impossible, possible.
That's wonderful. So I'm also looking through the comments of our virtual audience. We have a question from Tongi Gra, and he's asking, do you have any advice for adults like me who has bad handwriting, often due to always in a hurry? How do we improve?
First thing is develop patience. And most of us were not taught in the right manner. The system was not right how you learned handwriting. If you were used to copying, I don't know, if you're used to copying a particular style or shape, that's where the problem comes in. You need to go into a technology called as building the letters part by part, so that you understand every part of a letter, the lowercase and the uppercase, the numbers and punctuation. And then when you strengthen each and every part and assemble them together. In fact, I've stopped calling it as handwriting programs. I call it alphabet engineering program, because you put things together, have patience. You need to have a better eye and hand coordination, and you can do it. You will be able to develop a beautiful handwriting and powerful handwriting.
You can do it. That's really nice to know. But how about age? Does it interfere with that? Could anyone just learn how to write well?
Age is not a deterrent. My oldest student has been 65. If your eye and hand coordination is good, if you do not have any health issues which can come in between your writing, okay, if you have any kind of a nervous debility or so, any of these kind of health issues, if you do not have that, then at any age, you can improve. In fact, that reminds me of another quote. You can impress anyone, any age, any time, any place with powerful handwriting.
That's good to know. People who have met you have described you with many expressions from A to Z, so making you a polymath and a living example of Cicero's quote, natural ability without education has risen a man to glory and virtue, then educational without natural ability. So could you please tell us how you could achieve this?
Well, as I told you, after doing a self-introspection, one is, yes, the stigma of epilepsy still lingers on in some parts of the world where people are not aware of it and mature enough to understand it. And when I looked at various strengths I have within me by nature, I looked at Leonardo da Vinci, a man born with so many abilities, and he showcased it to the world. That's when I said I should also pursue my interests in each and every aspect of my, ability. And so one led to the other. And every time I started proving myself in each field, when I was interested in aviation, so I did some models. I also flew for 30 hours with a cousin of mine who was learn how to fly. I learned a lot of it from him about flying and aviation. And then geography was very interesting. And so, destinations and places and weather, so many things. And how do you find your way through certain places? I mean, today I'm also known as a Google map for my various friends who get stuck in my city or another city that I know, to guide them to various places. They ask me, hey, I'm stuck here. I ask them, what do you see on the left and right? Let me get the orientation. And then I will guide you. So, various interests that we have, every one of us, every one of you who's listening also is like Leonardo da Vinci, born with innumerable abilities. And unfortunately, we have not discovered, or people have not allowed us, or the situation has not allowed you to discover yourself. I'm reminded of, again, Benjamin Franklin, who said, they are like sundials in shade. Your abilities are kept within you and they're in shade. Bring them out and showcase it. Bring the sundial out into the sun and then it starts working. So this is how having proved myself one after the other in every field that I went in, I picked this up. And the Cicero's quote is beautiful. I would say, polish your natural abilities and strengths within you. With that, add your academic qualifications. It could become a deadly combo. And each and every aspect in you could become a kind of a occupation, leading into a vocation, and later it can become a profession when times change. For example, like I had come to UK as a cultural ambassador in 2001. On my return, the BPO segment, the business process outsourcing segment, was just coming up in India. And I had the opportunity to set the syllabus for British culture, later the European, Canadian, American, and global culture, and train people for almost 10 years on cross-cultural understanding. See how it opens up. There was no course that you can study about culture and things like that in my country, but the travels I've had, the interest in geography, interest in people and humanities, brought all this together, and we formulated a beautiful course. And I enjoyed myself every moment because I was reliving my experiences across the globe, and especially British culture. Every moment that I spent on your land, United Kingdom, keeps coming back to me, and I keep narrating all those lovely things. And for example, another thing I would like to tell you is, all of us went to school, then we learned certain things, but we also had some shortcomings. My English was horrendous. Some of my seniors, my own sister who's good in English, used to say, if I ask you to write 3 or 4 pages of something, and if I record your speech for about an hour or two, that would be the best question paper to be given to somebody who's appearing for BA Honours in Oxford or Cambridge University. If they can correct the mistakes that you commit, they can be given a BA Honours. I was in that stage. And when I said, I'm going to go to England one day, people said, who's going to let you even near the shores of England? And these kind of statements motivate you to try and do that impossible, they say, how to make it possible. And so I started learning English on my own way. I may not know the nuances of grammar, but when I listen to the people from UK, how they speak, it's just like, how you learn your mother tongue and how you become a native speaker. In the environment, you've heard your sounds and you try to replicate the sounds, you repeat it, and you repeat those sentences, automatically you will get it. Now, I also learned British accent by listening to BBC, the cricket commentaries, or watching the BBC channels. And if required, I could switch and talk typically like a British. To tell you that, when I was young, I used to listen to a lot of English commentary, and then I also found something very interesting about the northern accent and the southern accent in England. My great senior friend, Geoffrey Boycott from Yorkshire, and David Mumble-Lloyd from Lancashire, when they were giving their commentary, they would go about like this. The batsman cut the ball for 4. The running between the wickets have to be improved. And good cricket is played when you can run properly between the wickets. That's northern. The southerner says he cut the ball to 4. The batsman cut the ball to 4 and running between the wickets. So all of us can learn how to speak any language with the right kind of diction or the pronunciation when we listen to it and try to repeat. We are all good at mimicking. So that's what improved my language skills. And I share this with everybody. You could learn any language you want to if you have the interest. Keep listening, keep trying out, and then enjoy the whole process.
Thank you, Maestro. We have another question from our virtual audience. Win from the Philippines, she's asking, does handwriting reveal one's personality?
Good. I told you initially about handwriting, lettering, and calligraphy, which is the first vertical, which is progressive and complementary. The central vertical is graphology, graphonomy, and graphotherapy. Graphology and graphonomy is the science which allows you to try and understand the character of the person. First thing is it denotes the mood of the person when they were writing, and then what could be the character of the person. It's a 60 to 70% indicator. So you can guess the character of a person at that moment when they wrote that piece of writing.
Please tell us about your self-directed research on why people write badly and how to effectively improve their handwriting through various training programs. So what made you coin the word power handwriting and your discovery of the 7 elements of handwriting through self-directed research?
Well, the question was, why are people writing bad? When schools, teachers, and parents have been putting in a lot of efforts, why should people write badly, was my question. The answer was, in schools, people didn't give the right inputs. And I found that the methodology was not conducive. The style in which we write was not conducive, and people suffered. So my finding is, writing in cursive writing, a cursive style of writing, leads to a lot of issues when you write a little faster than the human capacity. Your H, M, N, U, V, Ws flatten out into waves. And when I came to England, I found that Italic society was doing a great job, but then they were not really encouraged much. Italic writing has got greater clarity because everything is written conjointly. And all languages in the world, if you see, even Indian languages are written in an unjoined fashion. So there is greater clarity. And when I went to study further, I found that, as I told you, building the letters part by part is the right approach. How to hold the pen, what is your right posture, and where is the paper in relation to the body, all this plays a very important role. And in schools and in teacher training programs, whether it is B.Ed, M.Ed, TCH, or by any name they call a teacher training program, the right kind of inputs are not being given. I was happy that when I came in 2001 to your country, I went to a lot of county schools. I studied the National Curriculum of Handwriting in 2001. And I found that, you have to go back in history to go back to Italic writing. That's when you would get greater clarity and people would be able to communicate well. So this methodology has to be changed. Teachers sometimes don't really agree with it because they have not been told the right things. Parents are not aware. So now the awareness about the methodology, the right kind of instruments to be used, and at what age you should start writing. At least in England, it is fine. In Europe, it's fine that they teach formal handwriting at about 5 or 5.5 after the fine motor skills are developed. But whereas in my country and other countries, they force them to write when they're 2, 2.5, when they're biologically not ready to perform this task, and they develop a severe aversion to writing. But these are all the issues that are there. And the process of learning handwriting is over a period of time. Like when you start when you're about 5, 5.5, you would end up with a writing which is your own when you're 12 or 13. So it's a long process where the teachers need to support them. The parents need to support them. So right now, my programs are to teach how to construct the letters properly, restructure your handwriting. It takes about a year. Then later, when people want to become a master trainer, right now, my whole concentration is on parents and teachers to become master trainers. When they become good demonstrators after a year of their restructuring of their handwriting, then they become analysts of problems that exist in a human being while writing. It could be physical problems, technical problems. You need to find those problems. There could be some specific problems to an individual, locate them, and then apply various measures and techniques to help them enhance their writing and get away from those issues. So a 3-year program for teachers and parents to become master trainers who are going to solve the issues, be with the person who's learning, and see the complete transformation. That's the other program I have. Then for people who want to become calligraphers, they go through the basic program, then they move to the higher level called as the lettering for another 2 years, and then they go to calligraphy with the spiritual dimension. They need to understand what is the spiritual dimension, which is, you need to be an audiovisual vacuum. You need to transport yourself from this world, physical world. You need to get into what is called as your ethereal body and astral travel. Your head thinks what you want to write. You are calm, cool, and collected. Your heart feels what you're going to write, and your hand translates your writing. Your head, your heart, and your hand working in harmony, and your breathing has to synchronize with your writing, and it mixes with your blood. And then your positive energies get transferred into your writing, and that becomes mesmerizing. So that takes you to the level of becoming a calligrapher. And whatever you've written with that passion, love, affection, and your positive energies being transferred into your writing becomes calligraphy, attains the status of calligraphy. I found this something beautiful. So these are certain things which people haven't understood. It's difficult to understand if you have not had good and bad experiences in life, and you're a mature person, somebody who's about 23 and or 23 and above. That's when you are able to understand these nuances and indulge in it. So these three areas are beautifully taught in that long program of 6 years. They're also given some kind of internship, and they're also taught management science, because many artists lack the ability to negotiate, being disciplined in their production, and then how to deal with the customer, how to keep up to your time frames and deadlines, and how to plan out things properly. All these things are something which most art schools don't teach them. They just teach them the art and tell them you can go out and you can start making a living. But then all these things are missing out. So I have added all these things in the course to make them a complete professional calligrapher. So these are the courses I'm offering. My 30 years of experience across the globe will be transferred to all these people to make them professional calligraphers. The other side, master trainers, and find an occupation for them, which becomes a vocation and a profession where they can start earning money and make a livelihood out of it. My dream is to create, in India, we say a crore jobs for people who can be master trainers in handwriting. I know that the world will come back one day to ask for good handwriting when the internet gives trouble, when there are a lot of issues that happen with internet and the digital world. You have to go back to writing, which is a human power.
Maestro, what are the 7 elements of handwriting?
I'm coming to that. So as I said, I'm repeating again, handwriting for day-to-day communication, lettering, beautiful writing in different styles, calligraphy with a spiritual dimension where you are pouring out your feelings into it and you're going to hold your onlookers in a mesmerizing way. Graphology, graphonomy for finding out the character. Some people believe that you can change your character with graphotherapy by changing the style of letters. It's, again, questionable according to me, but others who believe in it feel that there is a great change happening. That is the central vertical. So it makes 6. And the last vertical is called as the questioned document examination, which is used in finding out forgery when somebody copies your handwriting or your signatures on important documents. Now, these are the 7 elements I found. And those 7 elements, again, in India, we always have a belief about, the 7 seas and 7 mountains and 7 sages. Now, you look at it, every morning when the sun rises, the white light comes in and there are 7 colors in it. When dispersed, it makes your whole world colorful wherever there is sunlight with pure. And then when you listen to music, there are 7 notes. In India, we call it sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. And in Western world, you have the do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. So the 7 again there brings in rhythm and harmony. So anything which has a rhythm and harmony makes you feel nice. It gives you a very good feeling in your mind and body, and you can be stress-free when you have that feel-good factor. So brought in the 7, and I devised 7 basic exercises to learn handwriting. So, these 7 brings in the rhythm and harmony, as I said. And I found a very interesting thing with Western classical music, the piano, saxophone, and the violins. When you use a fountain pen, the fountain pen is the most beautiful writing instrument invented ever. It's so beautiful. It's buttery smooth. You need to feel it when you write it. The droplets of ink that are flowing, that is simulated by the pianos which are played plink plonk. And like, a smooth babbling brook flows. And then your violins are played to take you to the higher crescendo, and your B, D, H, K, L that you write goes up. The G, J, P, Q, Y comes down. So the violins can take you to the heights, give you a drop, and your lowercase letter T and F. A quick stroke of the bow on the violin can simulate that. The lowercase a or b or any of these letters which have a space enclosed or half enclosed are simulated by the wind instruments. It can be saxophone, clarinet, flute, trumpet. And so when you have this kind of music played in the background, your right brain is relaxing with this kind of music, and you're enjoying yourself and creating those letters. It may not be synchronized with your writing, but it simulates and it stimulates your brain to write beautifully in a calm, cool, and collected state of mind.
Those are really interesting. So you're a collector of pens. What fountain pens do you recommend?
Well, there are many fountain pens across the globe. I recommend a fountain pen for writing. It's just that a ball pen and a gel pen also is fine, but then in the recent times, you find a lot of use and throw ball pens, which are becoming an environmental hazard because it can't be recycled once it is thrown. The cost of recycling is more. And a fountain pen is eco-friendly because one pen will last you for years, and the ink is again eco-friendly. There are many brands. You can choose according to what suits your pocket, what suits your hand and fingers comfortably to write. There are many, many brands. There are a lot of brands, and one should go into a fountain pen shop and explore. It's a wonderful place to explore and try out writing. How smooth, how does it flow? Is it got an extra fine writing line or a fine writing line or a medium or a broad? What suits the person, you need to go and check out. And then once you get hooked onto it, I'll tell you, you'll never let go of the fountain.
Maestro, can you elaborate on what made you design the Be Your Own Master and other value-added programs under your J's Great Da Vinci Training Company?
Thank you. My own experiences of fighting the social stigma to a variety of things, I felt I'm not alone. There are many more people in this world who are fighting a lot of odds. And how do you get out of it? My experiences told me that I have used my natural ability. I have used my innate strengths. And how do you help people to find their innate abilities and strengths? Now, that's what made me design this. And a study of Leonardo da Vinci, how he brought out his abilities and showcased it, and how he was successful in many of them. So this made me design this program where we help people to find out who they are, first of all, what they are, and what they can become with what they possess, and clarity of the purpose of life. Once every human being is clear about the reason why you're here on this planet Earth and you have a specific job to do, I think you will be passionately pursuing it because it comes to you naturally. It comes to you 24/7. You need not put in any extra effort. If it's your weak area, you're going to struggle. You may get academic qualifications by, memorizing, reproducing, and getting those marks. But then given a task, you struggle. I found a lot of people highly qualified, but given a task, they are struggling. Why are they struggling to do the task? Because it doesn't come to them naturally. Now, this is where I felt like Gallup did a research many years ago and said 70% of the people across the globe are either a square peg in a round hole or a round peg in a square hole mismatched. And all their life, they're struggling there and frustrated. Their output is not that great. They're not enjoying themselves. They're looking for weekends. Everybody's looking for weekends around the corner. Let me take off. Anybody says, I dread Mondays or Wednesdays, then they should be seriously looking at changing their vocation. The best thing is to ask yourself, what keeps you happy when you're occupied with a particular activity? every day. Can that activity, which is your occupation, be turned into a vocation? And can that vocation, when polished, become a profession? I think if you look deep inside you, every one of us have so many innumerable abilities which are untapped. Tap it. So I'm helping people to tap that and bring it out. Many of my trainees and students are very happy. After 20 years, after 25 years, they're telling me, those days were so nice when you were telling us about this. Today we realize, today we have reached a stage in life where we are enjoying ourselves, where we are doing very well for ourselves. Had it not been for the initiation and putting us on the track, we wouldn't have reached where we have reached today. So that gives me a lot of satisfaction. And that's why I called it Be Your Own Master. Because, all of us have got masters, and after some time we lose them. They leave the world. But who's got to clarify you when you have a problem when you're getting older? So if you know yourself, you become your own master of your life. Now the pandemic came in, many became jobless. Many had problems and issues. How do I deal with them? It is just that look within you and you can find the answers, and you master yourself and master your life and go ahead. Don't ask for advice from anybody else, because you are the best person to know what is good for you. Like when you eat something, you know what is good, what tastes good for your palate, and you know what is good for your stomach too. So making people their own masters of their life, to lead a life which is comfortable, meaningful, and eventful, and it should be achievement driven, and it is something where you're satisfied with what you've got. It's not that you'll have to run after something which you don't have and feel dissatisfied. Or I want to remove this jealousy factor amongst people. If somebody else is successful, be happy about the success. You be happy with what you have. You know what is your level of performance. So you know your limitations and be happy with it. Never ever feel jealous about another person, nor crave for something else which is not for you. And if you lead a satisfied life, I think you've mastered your life, and you will be a happy person until you say bye to this world.
That's so fascinating. So I could see from your background that you're at your museum. So
That's
what
right.
was the reason to start Jay's La Quill Museum of Handwriting, Lettering, Calligraphy, Fountain Pens, and other writing instruments?
Thank you. From a younger age, I was into collecting a lot of things, and then started collecting these pens and curios and inkwells, so many things. And whatever little I have achieved in this life of mine and across the globe that I've traveled and collected, I felt it should be showcased for the world to come and see. This is a small effort of mine where I created this museum to showcase all these collections, rare books, for the public to come and see, understand the history of writing, the methodology of writing, the different styles of writing, the problems in writing, how to solve those problems, and where are we heading in this digital age. Enjoy all those wonderful writing instruments from the yesteryears. And so it leads to communication. Now, what handwriting led me was into anthropology. When you go deeper and ask the question, why, what, where, when, it says go back where the human being started, and then how they started living. So we also go to your basic needs of food, clothing, shelter. And after that, next what? Communicate. So what did the caveman do? Scratched on the walls. Then you came to the clay tablets in the Mesopotamian civilizations. Various civilizations across the world indulge in communicating. So coming to the basics, again, I would like to quote my senior colleague and Professor Rao, and Professor of Management, Professor Rao, who said, reading makes you a ready person, writing makes you an exact person, and conversation a complete person. Today, I find quite a lot of people struggling in one or the other area. We need to improve upon their communication skills. So this museum will expand as the years go by, showcase everything in communication from reading, writing to speaking, and they should come and enjoy themselves over here and enhance their abilities. Now, what is the use of me having everything for myself, and then after I'm gone, if it is going to go away? I've seen many collectors whose collections have really been given away to somebody else who really does not know the value of it. So this museum becomes a storehouse of a lot of emotions, passions of people with which they have collected those pens, desk accessories, a variety of things. And it is placed in their section. We would write on their name and their background, and then how passionate they were about this collection. And the curator will explain about this, so that the culture of communication, reading, writing, and speaking will stay alive forever. And thanks to my visits to UK, I saw a lot of museums. I saw a museum of pens in Birmingham. Then there's a calligraphy museum in Moscow. So I said there is no museum which combines everything, and that's why I decided to make it a combination of handwriting, lettering, calligraphy, fountain pens, and other writing instruments. And my joy was doubled when I invited the Italian ambassador to inaugurate it. He came here and inaugurated this museum. And after that, I've had quite a few British Deputy High Commissioners to India. And then British MP, Mr. Virender Sharma. Quite a lot of people have come in. The pandemic brought some kind of disruption, but then now I'm looking forward to a lot more diplomatic visits, general public, everybody to come here, understand, know, enjoy this place. And this is going to be there forever, because I'm mortal, but all these things will remain immortal forever. And taking a cue from, again, UK, how the museums had a story for every object, every stone in the museum, every column in the museum. I'm trying to incorporate all that over here so that people would enjoy being in this environment. This is what made me start this museum, to leave a legacy behind.
I'm just going to read through the comments of our virtual audience again. Happy Andrade is saying, nice show. Supriya Vankat is saying, very educative and insightful. And Professor Dato Dr. G.P. Dorisamy is asking you a question. So how were you able to overcome your born disability in a society that is very negative and has bad impression on disabled persons?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it is the performance. One thing is, every human being has to find a kind of self-assurance. The whole world will put you down and say, you have an issue, you're born with an issue, you can't do this, you can't do that. Your self-confidence can be shattered, but your self-assurance cannot be shattered. I would appeal to all the listeners, please develop a very, very strong self-assurance. I can do it. I will do it. The time frames may differ. But every time you are not able to do something, the society will put you down. Oh, I told you you can't do it. Oh, you're useless. You're fit for nothing. Let them say that. Just let it pass by. You keep working on it. Perseverance and consistency will perfect what you're doing. And as time goes by, I told the university, which gave me third class, I told them I'm world class. It took time to prove myself. People said, who will let you close to the shores of England? I could get to England many times. And I'm happy to say that, when I came there and taught in the British schools, they said all teachers here should have at least 2 sessions from Janardhan. And then they said, well, nobody went into these kind of details and nuances. Nobody trains you for a year or 2 who's got the patience. See, these are the performances which help you get over a lot of things. And these social stigmas are temporary. It's there everywhere, in every part of the world. For something or the other, they have social stigmas. They put you down. The people around you would always like to put you down. As I said, now the underdog is always ridiculed. You're maligned, you could be ostracized. But some cultures pull up the underdog. We need more such kind of human beings who can pull up and say, yes, come on, you can do it. Go up and you can become a super dog, right? So answering Dato, it is your self-assurance which can bring you out of all those difficulties or barriers. And don't give up when your time frames are going to get extended, because each one's life is different. The environment may create certain barriers, but you have to be patient. Patience will get you across. Don't be in a hurry to do things. That reminds me, a senior friend of mine had told me many years ago, he described what I was doing. He said, when you're in a hurry, do things slowly. And that was told by a person whose name is Hari Parameshwaran, not H-U-R-R-Y, H-A-R-I.
Yesterday was World Values Day. What are your most important values?
Well, whatever you want to achieve in life, you need to have ethics. You need to be ethical. You need to answer your own conscience. And then you need to have perseverance to perfect various things and patience, waiting for it to happen. These are the most important values for me. I value human relationships because, life is short. You could only live on those beautiful memories with whom you have spent and those lovely moments that you have spent with people. So human beings who gel well with you, who have the same kind of frequency, you need to spend more time. And somehow I'm not very comfortable with the electronic medium. I like to speak to people on the phone. I like to meet them, in person, which brings in greater value of mutual respect and deeper understanding of the person.
Maestro, having attained the living legend status in the handwriting, calligraphy, and fountain pen fraternity, and you were also bestowed with the Lifetime Achievement Award from the world's leading fountain pen blogging called Inked Happiness, the brand ambassador of City of Bengaluru, award by Kanthula Foundation for your social work on cleansing the city from 1993, and continuing to fight against various civic irregularities, nefarious activities, and inhuman atrocities in your locality. So you've been braving murder threats and murder attempts on you. So in this regard, we would like to hear your views, opinions, and advice to youth, humanitarians, and our audience around the world on how to make every person's life and the places around them a peaceful, harmonious, and enjoyable to live. So in short, what is your inspiring message to the world?
Well, you see, once you start performing, I would like to quote one of the wristwatch companies in India. It was called Titan Watches, which said, get ready to get noticed. When you start performing, you've got ready to get noticed. And that's when, if your performance is reaching levels of excellence, you start getting recognition with awards, rewards. My first write-up in a small magazine gave me the greatest satisfaction. And then a lot of things followed. Awards come in. Now I am dedicating all these recognitions and awards to those people who are born with challenges. Because if they haven't got it, they can feel happy that somebody like them has got it, and I'm sharing it with them. Let them not feel that they have not got it. This is something where a human being craves for recognition. But once you've got it and you keep doing good things, it keeps coming. And then it pushes you to do better and better, go to greater levels and enhance your performance. Because as a human being, first of all, we need to develop ourselves. And then we need to look at how to develop the people around. And it's our responsibility to develop the society around us. Unfortunately, in many parts of the world where still you have certain irregularities, you need to fight it out. You need to fight out for your rights, for your civic amenities, and to put in certain things which are irregular. And there are few people who become stumbling blocks because they don't understand what you're trying to say. It's good for them too, but then they have insecurities. Now, I will appeal to people to get out of their insecurities. Please get out of your insecurities. Look at how everybody can live in a very conducive, nice environment. I think already we have started eating into the flesh, blood, and bones of an unborn generation by destroying a lot of things in this world. We have done a lot of destruction to nature. We have to restore it. So we'll have to look at it more mature, in a more mature manner to say that your freedom ends where the other person's freedom begins, and start cleansing everything. So these recognitions came in. I'm still continuing. I would like to see my locality like as the jewel in the crown of the city of Bengaluru. It has 13 monuments around, and that's where my museum is, my heritage home, which is 150 plus years old. And this becomes the center of, getting a ripple effect to cleanse everything and make it beautiful. And, every one of us have this responsibility towards our own kith and kin, as well as the society, our city, then, the country, then the whole world. So that is what keeps me going. And it's a nice feeling when people say that you're doing a good job, but then it reassures you that self-assurance is reassured. Yes, you're on the right track. Continue to do good. And finally, when you leave this world, people would remember you fondly for what you did for them. And you will be remembered forever for good things that you do. This is what motivates me, drives me. And I appeal to all parents, all teachers, please allow your children to blossom naturally, find their natural abilities, let them pursue what they like to do and love to do, and do not impose anything on them that they should become somebody like an engineer or a doctor, or you should be this, you should be that. Allow them, because they came into this world with a purpose which is determined. Let them carry on with the purpose for which they came and enjoy their lives. Life has got a lot of roller coaster rides, ups and downs, good and bad. Let people figure that out and enjoy their life, enjoy their journey. So I don't want to impose anything on anybody. Let's not impose. Ultimately, the whole world is a village, as somebody said. In India, they call it in Sanskrit as Vasudhaivaka Kutumbakam, right? So you got to live harmoniously. That happens only when you respect each other and understand each other's abilities and appreciate each other's abilities. Of course, you have a lot of areas of improvement which somebody can give suggestions, but then decisions are reserved for the person who has to decide what they have to do. So give more freedom to people and tell them where the freedom ends also, and then create a better environment for people to live in. And I would say that, if I could achieve a lot of things with various barriers, everybody else also can do better than me. I always say, you can do better. And if you're a normal person, you can do much better. I keep repeating that. And maybe, a lot of quotes come to me like, if you can visualize the invisible, you can accomplish the impossible. And you need to read a lot to know a little. And in this world, you need to be a person who, should be a jack of all and master of some. So you should know something of everything and everything of earthing, so that the uncertainties that unfold in future, you should be ready to face them. Expect the unexpected and enjoy every moment of your life. Don't get dejected. Don't get depressed when you have certain failures. It's a passing phase. You will get over it. And what is due to you will certainly come to you. What is not due to you will never come to you, however hard you try. If you are in tune with that, you will be the happiest person in the world. This is what I would like to tell various people. And don't get enamored by all these titles and all that. They all come and go. They all come and they're a part of life. But it makes you feel good, right? But after a stage, you feel, all right, it's one more that's coming in. It's for the others to get motivated. That is why I said I'm dedicating all these awards, rewards, recognitions, and whatever I get to people who are born with challenges, and to the others also who want to get motivated. Now, whatever comes to me also goes to all these people. I share it with all of them.
Thank you, Maestro. I'm just reading through the comments of our virtual audience. Ayur Shankar is saying, very interesting session. Win is saying, thank you, Maestro Janardhan, for the many interesting topics to learn about. Bhaskar Chakravorty is saying, Maestro Janardhan is a brilliant communicator and interesting storyteller. I admire him a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chakravarti. Thank you.
And with that, thank you so much for honoring us with your presence, sharing your words of wisdom, and inspiring the world with your story. We will certainly pay more attention to our handwriting after this episode. So, in honor of international recognition for your virtue in persistently serving and inspiring humanity with your noble deeds, World Humanitarian Drive, we would like to award you with an Inspiring Humanitarian Award.
Thank you so much. I would say this Inspiring Humanitarian Award is shared with all my fellow human beings, especially ones born with the challenges, my clients, my students, my friends and family who have all been supportive in this journey, this road less taken, as you said, and this arduous journey. If not for various people's opposition, their understanding later, and collaborating and cooperating with me, I wouldn't have reached this level. So this is for all of them that I dedicate, with your permission, if I can do that.
Congratulations, Maestro, and thank you very much. Professor?
I have a quote which I would like to also, tell the people who want to achieve anything in life. And this is again a special dedication to Professor Vijayasrao, my senior colleague and a person who has had a paralytic stroke. He is bedridden in one of the care homes in Cambridge today. He is in bed, his left hand and left leg is not movable, but I would like to dedicate this. He had given me a quote long back, talking about vision and mission. And he filled it up saying, vision should be followed by a passion, obsession, and then you will go and then you can achieve your mission. So I developed on that. If you allow me, I would like to read it out to people. If they can, follow this, it will be wonderful in any of their occupations or vocations or profession. I have a vision, fueled by a passion, driven by an obsession to go reach my destination, complete my mission, and realize my ambition by converting my loved occupation into a meaningful vocation and a pleasurable profession, providing the ultimate customer satisfaction, culminating into an adulation, inspiring and motivating fellow human beings for emulation. This is what I developed. I dedicate this to Professor Vijayasrao. If he is hearing this or listening to this, or later I would play this to him, he would, I know, be very, very happy. So this is what I wanted to do at the end of it. Thank you for this opportunity. I've enjoyed myself talking to you and sharing a few things from my life. Thank you for the opportunity. And I hope a lot of people would emerge better than me in whatever they do.
Thank you so much, Maestro K.C. Janardhan. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion with the Calligraphy Maestro, Professor K.C. Janardhan, that it motivated you to turn your passion into profession and to unleash the magic of your writing. Here on Inspiring Millions Show, we present you with brilliant people from around the world, so feel free to connect with them on social media, and together, let's make a difference in the world. If today's discussion inspired you, please like it, share it, send us a comment. Do share with us your takeaways from today. Follow us on our social media accounts. Click subscribe on our YouTube channel, WHD Media. Visit our WHD website, www.whd.org.uk, for more inspiring events. WHD would like to thank WHD India Chapter, Government, Arts and Science College, and Youth Red Cross for organizing a successful event, Cancer Awareness Program held earlier today. Everyone stay safe and healthy. These are times we should strengthen our bodies, minds, emotions, and our faith. Please remember to have compassion, be kind to yourself, others, and our planet. To our frontliners, we salute you. We thank you for your hard work, sacrifices, and dedication to humanity. To all those celebrating their birthdays and special milestones this week, happy celebrations. Have a wonderful weekend. On behalf of WHD team, especially those working behind the scenes, WHD Chairman Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed, WHD Director of Global Operations, Ms. Sarah Wilson, WHD's 12 Honorable Secretary Generals. We thank you, our virtual audience from around the world, for joining us and supporting our show. This has been World Humanitarian Drive's Inspiring Millions Show. I'm Viva Andrada O'Flynn. Please join us again next Friday. We will have a discussion with Carol Pike of the UK as we inspire the world here on Inspiring Millions Show.